slam that camera.
Pop that top. Ooh, the world of archery has been a stir. A stir. How many grams of caffeine are we talking about here? Milligrams, mgs.
2 hundo.
2 hundies?
Yeah, same as those ghosts.
2 hundies?
Yep. Mental focus. I could use that. Neurofactor.
Yeah, you could use that.
Hydration blend. Electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. I'm enjoying the screaming freedom.
Yeah.
Volume too loud for you there, homie?
Yeah, the fire's just a little hot right now. Fire's a little hot.
Is it distracting your inner focus?
Yeah, fire's a little hot. We want the proper amount of fire and ambiance. This is the fireside chat. We're 2 men, 1 fire.
That goes so many different ways.
Do you know what that's a play off of?
Well,
The old school, 2 girls, 1.
yeah, I figured that's where you were going with it, which I do not. I know what you're talking about, but I have not partaken in what you're talking about.
No, of course not. Yeah,
I've not seen it.
yeah, definitely haven't seen
I
that
figured you were
disgusting
talking about
clip.
like 2 bears, 1 cave.
Oh, yeah, that's also.
That was the more appropriate response.
Yeah.
Of what I was anticipating.
Is Brian Callen 2 bears, 1 cave?
No, that's Bert and Tom.
What's Brian Callen's with?
I'm not sure what it's called.
It's like the gladiator and the fighter and the kid. Yeah.
No idea.
Are you a Brian Callen fan?
No, I think he's great. I don't
Yeah.
have the bandwidth for more podcasts. I
Yeah.
have 2. I listen to Real AF and I listen to Joe Rogan, and that's it. And I'm behind constantly because the amount of downtime I have to actually consume stuff like that has just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm listening to music or something else. I'm just going.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones out there. I think I've heard a couple of Theos that were like sent to me, and I've heard a couple of Brian's that are sent to me, which I thought were really good. There's another 1 or 2 that I've been sent, and I'm like, that's really good. But oh gosh, dang it, I can't think of it now. But there's a ton of good podcasts out there. The options are endless, man.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how many there are in our space.
Well, what I was going to say is I would like to actually hear the audience's favorite podcasts, non-archery related. I've always liked listening to podcasts that are just kind of silly and funny. I also like listening to like business or some of the ones that are a little more like personal development. And I do like outdoor stories too, hunting stories, archery stories. So I would be curious from the audience, like what they're listening to, what their favorite pods are. And
Well, what's your favorite pod?
well, for a long time, I really liked My First Million, which at the time...
Whose is that?
It's terrible. I don't know their full names.
Oh.
I don't know their full names. But it's My First Million with Sean and the other guy's name's slipping me right now. I haven't listened in a couple months, but it's basically a business podcast for a long time. They would talk about ideas and things that, are ideas, businesses, thoughts, logistics, little bit of personal development, a little bit of family, but it became a lot more and more gossipy about like recent events, about just gossipy and recent events, and less trendy. But I do like business podcasts. I like the things that are kind of feel a little bit like mental exercise. Like, oh, that might be a good idea. Here's why it could work, or here's why it might not work, or here's something to think about if that was an avenue you were going to go down.
Gotcha.
So it felt a little bit like mental exercise. Like you're hanging out with your friends, just chatting about like, oh, that's a good idea, but what about this or what about that,
Interesting.
So that was cool for a long time. I will recreationally listen to Joe's podcast. I'm a cherry picker.
I've been missing episodes, and when I get way behind, I'll that one looks interesting.
Yeah.
I get more into the science or knowledge parts, and I end up skipping over the ones that are probably humorous.
Yeah.
Unless it's somebody that I really like, then I'll just listen to it. But so I bet you I've probably listened to, since I started, at least 90% of them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But when I started that, I started going to the property a lot.
Yeah.
And it's 3 hours there and 3 hours back. So
perfect.
I could listen to a whole podcast
Yeah.
and listen to a whole one coming back. So every time I went, I digested 2. And I was going, at one point there, I was going almost every weekend.
Yeah.
It was definitely every other weekend for sure, but almost every weekend.
Yeah, so I'm like a cherry picker and a seasonal listener, and that I haven't like got any more or less fired up on the podcast. It's just when I think there's an interesting guest or subject, I'll listen to it. And then particularly during hunting seasons, like that's a popular one I'll have in my ear for a couple of reasons. It's 3 hours a lot of times, and he loves hunting too. So I kind of feel like it's a good fit for the hunting season listen. I've definitely even shot some stuff with Joe in my ear, but I'll hit pause. But yeah, it's like, oh, there's a bear. Pause.
So my personal thing when it comes to that, which I don't disagree with listening to stuff, and I know I think I've mentioned it before, but I've had theories on whether or not certain animals can actually hear it.
Yeah.
What you're listening to, because I've had weird activity.
It's weirded me out. Like, or could they even pick up on like the radio frequency or whatever the frequency was?
Maybe, but I've shot several animals while I was still listening to something.
Yeah.
But I will deliberately play something that I've already heard or like a movie or a show that I know, so I'm not really paying attention to it. It's like distracting.
It's more passive than active.
It's more like passive, so I'm still really paying attention because if it's something that I'm really engaged in, my focus isn't out. It's in. And 9 times out of 10, you're killing a lot of time before something really interesting happens.
Yeah.
So it's not a horrible path.
And I do like Cameron Haynes' podcast too. I particularly like his Shit Talkers Weekly. That's when they'll
I should probably listen to that. I've never
the
listened to
Shit
that.
Talkers Weekly is like a fun version of exactly what it sounds like. Like what is the bullshit going on? Because Cam kind of feeds off that, and you can tell it gets him fired up. And then he does it with his producer host Gideon, who feeds into that. And it's just like, to me, it's like a really funny version, sarcastic, humorous version of Cam, which I like listening to. And I'll listen to Cam with his guests too, but I like the Shit Talkers Weekly. I've listened to, I don't know, I think I heard him say on a clip today they've done 7 Shit Talkers Weekly, and I've probably listened to most of their Shit Talkers Weekly.
Shit Talkers Weekly.
Yeah, for the trolls.
I'll pull that one. Well, I'm
trolls.
driving to the property tomorrow, so maybe I'll pull that up and listen to it.
And the bullshit.
Yeah, that's fun. Shit Talkers Weekly.
Yeah. Huh. Cam feeds off the negative energy.
Huh.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, maybe it's that could be a fun one.
He's got a good sense of humor too. Like the Brian Callen podcast was a good example of like, a lot of them were bantering back and forth for a lot of it, and yeah, I mean he's definitely not a comedian, but he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, we should do some kind of Q&A or something on our next one.
Yeah.
Post something and just ask questions.
Yeah, no, Q&As are great, especially for our pod. It's been a while.
It's been a little while. We should do that.
And you never know. I mean, we don't know what they don't know,
Right.
So, yeah, let's do a Q&A for the next one.
Cool.
I think that's a good one. Well, let's talk about the archery industry. It's been a little bit astir, and you and I have talked about this already kind of at length. Because it is a big deal, and it's the first time I've ever heard anything like it. But let's break down a little bit about this lawsuit thing that's going on.
Did you look into it more after we discussed it last time and then decided to trash it?
No.
Start over.
No.
Well, there's a lawsuit currently pending in the archery industry with it appears to be more of like a collusion where somebody in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
Dude in Pennsylvania is suing the ATA, Matthews, Hoyt, Bowtech, Kinsey's, Cabela's, Bass Pro, Lancaster. I think that's it.
Yeah, let me read this little excerpt here. Now, this is a developing story, and it sounds like the paperwork has just been initially filed, but I was forwarded this article, and several articles, in fact, by a lot of people to my Instagram, and when something like that starts to happen, I'm like, okay, I know this is a serious deal. So anyway, this is the Outdoor Life article, and I'm just going to read an excerpt from it because I think they do a pretty good job summarizing what's going on. So it says, the title is Class Action Lawsuit Accuses the Archery Industry of Price Fixing. The suit alleges that retailers like Bass Pro and bow makers like Hoyt conspired to artificially inflate the prices of archery equipment. Industry insiders say that they're simply enforcing minimum advertised prices to help local bow shops and protect consumers. A proposed class action lawsuit filed in federal court last week is accusing the archery industry of colluding to fix prices of products at all levels. The suit, which was filed May 30th in U.S. District Court in Utah, names big box store retailers like Bass Pro Shops, bow makers like Matthews, and the Archery Trade Association for conspiring to fix prices of and eliminate price discounting and competition for archery products. Says the suit was first reported by Reuters on Monday. The 63-page lawsuit hinges on a policy known as minimum advertised pricing, or MAP. Many archery companies and outdoor retailers won't sell their archery equipment, particularly compound bows, for less than a certain amount. If a bow shop undercuts agreed upon prices, manufacturers can and have enforced their MAP policies by revoking a shop's authorized dealer status for their brand.
That statement's false.
The lawsuit accuses the ATA of a campaign to artificially raise prices through their MAP policies. Now, I'm going to fast forward to the companies that they mention in here. And they go on to talk more about MAP and what that is. And Josh, do you want to explain what MAP is?
MAP is the archery industries and multiple industries minimum advertised pricing. What does that actually mean? That means that you cannot put in print publicly a price below that dollar amount. It does not mean that you can't sell it for less than that.
Yeah.
You just can't advertise it, which is where I said that statement is false.
Mm-hmm.
It said that you will not get in trouble for selling it for less than that amount in person.
Yeah.
So it's not price fixed, it's advertised fixed.
Yeah.
Which is relatively common, and where this one gets a little fishy or questionable,
muddy,
is the collusion portion of it, where it's these people all got together and agreed, which I want to say they were. Each of those brands were a part of the board of the ATA when they based that off of like 2014. I'm not positive, but I tried to look into it and found that several of those were all on a board.
Yeah,
I found like 3 or 4 of them.
The lawsuit names Hoyt, Bowtech, Matthews PSE, Cabela's, Dick's, Bass Pro Shop, J Sporting Goods, Kinsey's Outdoors, Lancaster Archery Supply, Archery Trade Association, and 2 software companies that help track the company's MAP pricing. So those are a lot of big names.
They are, and I want to say those were all on the board of the ATA in 2014 when they're basing that this started. And if it was I had it explained to me relatively well that like Apple can choose to do that, right? But they're not sitting down with Samsung and Google and anybody else making a phone and saying, "Hey, we're going to work it like this. Let's all agree to do it the same."
Yeah,
and that's the premise and the belief is that that's what they did.
Yeah. And it seems like the center of it, or the central hub, is the trade association thing.
Yeah.
It's like that was...
Well, they have meetings as a group.
Yeah.
That's where it would have come from.
Yeah.
If they all agreed to do that. There's nothing wrong with a minimum advertised price.
No, it's relatively common.
And where I think the lawsuit's going to fall short is that they're believing that that means that people can't sell it for less than that. That's not accurate. You absolutely can.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what evidence. It would be hard for me to believe that they could file the lawsuit without a lot of evidence. Like I would think that they would have to have some kind of evidence that would lead them to believe that those companies work together. But I think, my redneck understanding is that the lawsuit is going to hinge on, was there some type of coordinated effort?
Yeah, well, and I think that's difficult to prove. Unless the person filing the lawsuit has actual evidence that they did functionally do that or was present or something.
Yeah.
And that's
email,
possible.
Email.
Maybe, but if you're having conversations in person and in private, that would be a hard thing to discuss. But, and my initial thoughts on this of who's doing this or why, because we haven't found that, right?
Yeah, no.
It's somebody in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, that's what it says.
It wouldn't be a shock. And from 2014 till really recently, the archery industry struggled to stop people from dropping below a certain advertised price publicly. Like it was hard to chase down. And the number one place that it was really hard to do that on was Amazon. Like Amazon was always cheaper everywhere. Like there was some random guy selling something less than they were supposed to on Amazon. And the irony part of it is you're not making any money. It's so slim to begin with. Like selling it for less than like minimum makes it not profitable.
Well, and then getting an Amazon a cut from there, if it was through Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, well, when it's through Amazon, anybody can sell on Amazon, right? So you, me, Joe
But if
Blow,
you undercut, then the portion of that goes to Amazon, right?
Amazon's still making their percentage.
Yes.
No matter what, and it doesn't change.
So then the seller's margins.
If you're on Amazon and I'm on Amazon, I'm a penny cheaper than you, I'm going to sell 1,000, you're going to sell none.
Sure.
Right? So that's where having an agreed upon minimum is really relevant that marketplace functioning. And what they've done now is they've actually taken ownership of their products. So like a brand can file with Amazon that they own the likeness of what you're advertising. So like Victory is a good example. Victory, it took them multiple years, but they tracked down every single thing that was listed on Amazon as a Victory product and pulled them, created new SKUs for them, or ASINs is what the verbiage that Amazon uses, and then took ownership of it, and then they can issue the right to sell their product to people. So just because you bought a product as a dealer doesn't give you the right to sell it on Amazon.
Okay.
Now. And most brands, or a lot of brands, have fought really hard to go that direction because they're trying to stop the massive undercutting of the price because it crushes a shop, right? Like, let's say you own a shop in Michigan, right? And you're trying to sell your Spot Hog Boonie for $460, right? The price that MAP says it's supposed to be at, which I hate to break to you, isn't a massive margin. There's not a crap ton of money in this labor-intensive sport, and that's why you're seeing shops go away. Is there's a lot of labor involved in doing this correctly, and you're not getting compensated for that labor. The margin that you make on the item isn't really enough to justify your work. But most people continue to do it because it's a labor of love.
Labor of love, yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you're in there trying to sell them for $460 and a guy pulls up his phone and it says $423.68, like, well, gosh, it's $40 cheaper. Why don't I just hit a button and get it at home? Right? And that's the problem. And that's where the advertised price matters, is that we have to keep these prices subject here. And in person, there's nothing that can be done about it. Like if you own that shop in Michigan and a guy walks in and wants to buy it, and you say, "Oh, I'll give you $20 off."
Yeah.
That's not a violation of MAP at all because it's not an advertisement. It's a public advertisement that they're enforcing.
Yeah.
So this being a lawsuit, personally, I think is really stupid. They might technically have ground to stand on, but it's not price fixing. It's advertisements. And all brands do this. Sitka does this. Stone Glacier does this. Crispy does this. Like every brand that you see in this space, not just archery related, all do this.
They have, what you're saying is they have a minimum advertised.
They all have a minimum advertised price that anyone selling online or making print advertisements or radio ads has to abide by unless they've been authorized for a special for a short period of time. It's like, yeah, you can run a 3-day sale and you're allowed to go down this much on your advertising. What you do when the person walks in the door is up to you. And that's where it's not price fixing. Because you still have the right to do whatever you want. You just don't have the right to advertise it.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit of an interesting kind of modern day workaround is like, for MAP, is like a lot of online retailers, or some of, they got to abide by MAP, minimum advertised pricing, but maybe you get loyalty points when you buy it.
There's two bypasses on it that certain brands accept and certain brands don't.
Yeah.
One of them's coupon codes,
Yeah.
and one of them is points.
Yeah, loyalty points or whatever.
And loyalty points are accepted by everyone.
Yeah.
Like there isn't a brand that has a problem with loyalty points.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But yeah, that's your only ways around it.
Yeah.
So it would really shock me if this actually went anywhere. Now I could see it just getting settled out of court.
Yeah.
And making the person go away. But I would be willing to bet that the person that's suing had a business that was undercutting prices for years and lost all their business. So it would be an authentic, hey, you are enforcing something that you colluded to enforce, and it cost me my business. It's a reasonable suit.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, but we don't know who the person is or why they're doing it.
Yeah, we don't know, and it's brand new, but those are some really big names that were mentioned. So, and it's created a little bit of buzz. So hopefully, in the short term, it doesn't hurt anyone's reputation.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
To going anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't. And you're talking at the time the 4 biggest bow brands.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Which that's kind of a big deal.
It's a really
now
big deal.
the other part that they put in there of artificially raising prices, right? That's a hard one to prove too. I mean, what did a bow sell for in 2014? Right? It's
like $11.99.
no, it was probably under $1,000 or pretty close to it.
$9.99.
Yeah, but what's fuel then? What's fuel now? What are taxes then? What are taxes now? I mean, there are increases astronomical over that time period, at least 40%.
I mean, the average bow now is what, $12.99, $13.99?
Somewhere in that ballpark. And if bows were $1,000, they should be $1,400.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a hard time with that one.
Just based on inflation, fuel, whatever.
What our economy and our environment's done the last decade plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck proving that one.
Yeah.
Like that. That's a hard one. My guess is it's just a ploy to try to settle it out of court and move on with life.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really want to see that go away because I think in general, like if they deem that the archery industry doesn't have a right to have MAP on it.
Oh, no, they'll have to have MAP. Because
that is a very large problem for everyone.
No, MAP's a retail-wide thing.
Yeah, the people it hurts the most is the shop. The small shop and the medium-sized shop get hurt the most by that.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to lower their price.
Right.
Because their margin isn't very good.
Right.
So they have to make that money.
And the margin gets better for the bigger buyers. Traditionally.
Yeah. It does. And some of the bigger buyers out there force their way into better pricing.
Yep.
Which I personally don't agree with. I think it's wrong to do that. I think that if you have established tiers, you need to stick by those established tiers. Now, if you're getting rid of like the last of a product line and it's going away and you want to lower the price to somebody or lower the cost to a dealer, fine, I get that. But average everyday dealer buying all year long current product, you shouldn't be down below a certain point. Like if you say this is as far as you go, this is as far as you go, and every dealer should be able to see that and know what they can get to. It's like, hey, if I really push hard on this brand and I sell, 3 times as much of it as I was because I promote it, I'm going to get to this cost. And then I know that this cost is what the big, massive merchant up here is getting it for. But when they don't actually know and they don't know what they're competing against, that's a very unfair environment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not true capitalism or not. I don't know. I believe that if you're going to allow someone to buy at a cheaper price, it should be published. It should show what it takes to get to that price. It shouldn't be some made up thing that nobody knows exists.
Yeah.
It should be in print. If you're going to offer somebody else a better price because of their volume, you should show it in your price sheet. Because they all have tiers.
That's an interesting point, yeah.
They all have tiers. And
that's another way to think about it.
If something exists beyond here, you should forcibly show it in print.
Yeah.
That's something that I have a pet peeve on.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand that.
And I know that I do more than enough volume to force a better price, but I won't do it because I think it's wrong. I think everyone should have a level playing field and understand where that playing field exists.
Yeah. Yeah, that putting it in print thing would be interesting because if you're, why are you going to have a backdoor deal with a company that other people, they look at a buying sheet and they're like, oh, yeah, this is what exists. But if there are things that also exist, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 10 businesses in the industry that possess the power to do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to bet I'm probably the only one that doesn't force my way into that. Because it feels slimy to me. It feels unfair. Like if you're not going to publish it, it shouldn't exist. Like if there's a better deal to be had, it should be in your documented price sheet that has all kinds of legal shit in it, right? Policies, etc. that you follow. You've got all this different jargon that tells me what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do, and painting the picture that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And then you've actually got shit in that isn't in there that you're doing, like back alley shady deals with. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that should happen.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's an evolving story, developing story, or whatever. And I guess we can keep posted on whatever happens. Mm-hmm. The legal system is pretty slow, so I don't imagine anything will happen fast. And if it settles out of court, it's unlikely we'll actually know the resolution. But
yeah, it's very rare there's a settlement that anyone's allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just that it's settled and we have
to
move on.
And that's why people want to settle too, is they just want shuffle it under the rug. Let's be done with it,
Yeah, for sure.
That's one reason anyway.
Well, or guarantee a known outcome. Because when you get into an actual lawsuit in court, you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
You don't know.
A settlement allows you to at least know what the outcome is. In some instances, it's good. In some instances, it's bad. And in almost all instances, you're giving up what you think you might get if you're the person suing, and you're giving some compromise if you're the one being sued from what you think you can do. There's always something in there.
It's a known outcome.
But it does make the problem go away.
Yeah. We'll keep posted on it.
Interesting dealings. I've never seen it.
Yeah. You've been around this industry for 40 years, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And nothing like that, right?
Never seen anything like it.
So it's very.
I've seen some feuds with brands.
Yeah.
I've seen brands actually like advertise against another brand,
Yeah.
which was adorable to see that. It was like, oh my God, you don't do that. That's a bad idea. I've seen some pretty wild stuff in there, but no, I've never actually seen a lawsuit go against multiple brands. I've seen people sue over technology. I've seen that.
That's pretty common too.
That's really common.
Yeah.
Trying to sue for here or there. I've gotten phone calls about it, right? Personally, like, hey, we think you're violating blah blah blah, and you got to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
Find a happy medium, right? That's just part of doing business, especially if you make stuff.
Well,
or if you publicly open your mouth, you could also be, getting phone calls like that. And I publicly open my mouth a lot.
We're pretty much struck off into the middle of the season now, right? Like the middle of the January to December.
Yeah, spring hunts are done. 3D's in full swing and gravitating its way towards the end of it.
What's
right?
trending? Like, what surprised you this year? Like, what's done better or worse?
Let's see. Well, in general, I can tell you sales are down across the board for most brands. Not our personal sales. Our personal sales are up. But in general, most shops are down. I can guarantee you bow sales are down because I know how I am doing.
Yeah.
And I know how many bows I ordered last year and how many I ordered this year.
Yep.
And I've ordered less bows this year than last year, but my sales are higher on the charts.
Yeah, I would love if there was an industry aggregate for some of that information because we have that in golf a little bit.
We do definitely have, I think there's a lot of people that are really optimistic at where our country's going, but we haven't seen it get there yet. So I still think there's a lot of people that are scared to spend money, or they're just flat broke.
Yeah,
and both are possible, right? Because I mean, we're getting taxed excessively, especially in Washington. Holy crap!
Interest rates are still high.
Interest rates are still really high.
Yeah.
Cost of housing hasn't dropped; it's still really high.
Yeah.
And fuel is still really high. Like it's kind of bizarre. It's like they're upping fuel production and whatnot, and the price isn't coming down. Now, I personally think in Washington, it's because they just added new taxes.
Well,
to
it hasn't been so bad in Idaho, and it was even better in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, dude, it's wildly cheap in Tennessee, but they're not charging taxes on their fuel.
Yeah,
which is artificially inflating the price of fuel.
Tennessee.
I go get gas in Idaho when I'm here. Like I drive 10 minutes to the Idaho border, and I go get fuel in Idaho, and it's $1 to $1.50 a gallon cheaper. Yeah. And you're going to see that worse. Although since the new tax increases that they passed on fuel again in the state of Washington, I haven't actually checked Idaho's price. So it'll be interesting. It's usually hovering around $1 different.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be more now. Probably.
You kind of swerved the original question. Do you have
Did
anything that surprised you as far as
I was getting there.
Product sales up or down?
I wouldn't say surprised. I said both sales are down. HLRs and 5.0s are blowing the doors off every brand. Like those two arrows are the number one sellers in both of their lines by a long shot, and we've got them all in stock. So head on over to podiumarchery.com for all those archery needs and pick them up there. And use coupon code TIMC to save a little money.
Yes. Discount code TIMC, podiumarchery.com. We like that.
Yeah.
But that is a very shameless plug. But
I can't say that one surprises me because it did exactly what I expected.
No.
I expected it to be the best-selling arrow.
We've talked about that on the podcast.
Had.
Like a low GPI 5 mil arrow is going to be trendy.
Yeah. It's going to be hot. Darton has done exceptionally better than I expected. I expected it to be good, but it's done even better than I anticipated.
Yeah.
It's in
boots on the ground
in both of my stores. It's the number 3 selling bow.
How about walking around at a Total Archery Challenge?
It depends on where.
Yeah,
I didn't see nearly as many of them in PA.
That's what I was curious about.
But there still was a decent amount of Dartons.
Yeah,
there really was because it's they're going after. What's the best way to put this? They're going after the customer that would follow kind of what I'm trying to preach, that you need to do your own work.
Yeah,
they're gearing their product to the do-it-yourself guy, and they're willing to sell it directly to the do-it-yourself guy. Yeah. You can buy it from Darton or you can buy it from me and get it shipped right to you. You don't have to go through a shop.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are fed up with their shop and don't want to deal with their shop and like the concept of a company that's attempting to support that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the do-it-yourself guy is definitely one way to think about it, but also just like the Easy Tune. I mean, Easy Tune also is good for shops.
Yeah, but there's multiple brands that do easy tune.
Now, yeah,
but
it's evolved, but not everyone.
It's evolved, but there's only one that I can actually just buy it and get it straight to you. Nobody else is doing that in the high end world.
Yeah.
So I think that has something to do with it. I really do. And you know, it's a name that's been around for a long time that kind of died off there and is coming back with some excitement and some interest.
Yeah, even 4 or 5 years ago, I would hear that, Darton's been a cool company because they sold off patents for a long time. Like Darton has actually a lot of the technology that is used across the industry.
Yeah, Darton doesn't need to make bows.
Yeah.
The majority of the patents that people license today are theirs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's wild.
So,
like it used to be Martin forever, but Martin kind of went away.
So obviously some good engineering has been coming out of there for a while.
Yeah, they've always had very innovative ideas and more than willing to license their ideas. But for one reason or another, that timing thing, it's like they're resistant to license it. Because that timing thing's sweet.
Yeah.
Like that is a simple, easy, very well-functioning piece that would work on almost any bow built today because most bows have that kind of a system.
Well, do you think there's some chance that the timing thing works as some version of a counterweight on the release of the arrow to get a little more speed?
I doubt it. It's possible, but I doubt because that part really doesn't
Because the
move
draw
like
cycle to speed ratio is actually a little bit absurd.
I agree, but have you... well, you put different strings on it, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you check it before and after?
No.
I would like to know that.
Yeah.
I am. That's one of the ones I do want to do a set on and speed test because I am curious if maybe they're running a little light on the strand count.
Okay.
Because that will give you speed. Like there's things each bow manufacturer can do to increase their velocity outside of their design.
Yeah.
Right. If you run your strand count light, your bow's going to be faster.
Now remind me what we had to do with the rest, because the rest was kind of a hokey deal. The riser was wide and we had to do something special.
The riser's wide, and if you were trying to use a ham ski in my bracket, it doesn't fit.
Right.
It doesn't go over far enough.
Yeah.
It's the first bow that I've ever actually taken my bracket and tried to put it on, and I can't get it to work. Because I designed my bracket to be in the middle setting of the adjustable bracket option. And for one reason or another, the ham ski is just too wide, right? Or not ham ski, sorry. The Darton's just too wide.
It's got dumps like a truck.
She got a booty, girl.
Dumps like a truck.
She got a dumper.
Yeah.
For sure. That diaper's full.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only negative. And I'm not going to remake a bracket for one bow.
Right.
Especially because you can rear mount on that.
Yeah, that would be silly to remake a bracket just for one bow style.
Yeah. But that is the only one I've found. Comment down below if you found one that doesn't work, but I've tried to bolt it on just about everything and haven't found the need to be out of the middle position in that bracket.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm ready to kind of like give my long-term review on that bow. That's going to be one of my next YouTube videos in the hopper, because I have gotten to mess with it for like 6 months, put a lot of arrows through it, and I kind of have all my thoughts formulated. Yeah.
You've shot that bow a lot.
A lot, and shot it,
well,
pretty good, yeah.
Not pretty good, well.
Yeah, pretty good, so.
I'd put it above pretty good.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's become one of my favorite bows all time for sure. But there are still things that could be better. Interestingly enough, when I was up in Canada, I looked under my loop and I saw a little bit of serving separation. It wasn't enough to make me panic or worry or think that, oh my gosh, my shit's going to fall apart between now and when I get to shoot a bear. Mm-hmm. But I did get a little serving separation. Could that be user error? And by the way, I'm running the Gas Ghost XVs.
The only way I would think you'd do that is if you were moving your loop a bunch.
Okay.
Like if you're moving it up and down and compressing it, recompressing it, loosening it.
And I'm talking about the center serving underneath my loop, yeah.
Yeah.
Not up by the cam or something.
That's the only time I've ever seen that. I've never seen one of their center serving separate. Unless you like really reef on your loop and it pushes the serving apart a little bit and then you go move your loop.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised.
Yeah. So I got to get that repaired, which is kind of cool that we can get that done here. But if I did,
got the right equipment to do it.
Yeah, if we didn't, you said that you could call Gas or whatever. Or?
If you authentically have serving separation over a reasonable amount of time, a lot of times they'll cover it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but
nice
it's got to be legitimate.
It
can't be you were monkeying with it over and over and over, and that's what you got to get the serving separation, right? If it just rolls through a roller and separates over a reasonable amount of time, they'll replace it.
Yeah,
they're very good to work with. They stand behind the product that they build, and they make a good product.
That's nice to know because I've run probably a half a dozen other strings by now, and I haven't had a problem. So, yeah, that's kind of the first time it's really surfaced.
Yeah. Well, you've probably monkeyed with this bow more than you've probably ever monkeyed with any other bow.
I don't move my loop, though.
Have you moved it more than once?
No. No, I don't move my loop. Yeah. Yeah. But I did do all the work myself for the most part with supervision. So I was wondering if I could have maybe soft knotted it too tight or something, or I don't know, something that wiggled its way in there.
I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're a man of many bows, and you've actually struck off to some other events this year.
To a horrible detriment. It's a very bad thing to do.
Yeah.
If you want to get really comfortable and consistent and whatnot, you can't do that. And my reasoning behind it is I was just kind of trying to show, hey, these all work pretty good, and you can get it done with
They're all
about
competent,
any of them.
yeah.
They're all competent. And that was
No need to look at another person shooting another bow and be like, oh, that thing's not going to work.
Yeah, it's more of an effort to say, hey, stop looking at the bow and look at the dude, and trust that most of these things are relatively good.
If you're shooting a modern flagship, like, you can make it work.
Yeah, I shot the form, and I got used to it. I struggled to point it. I put a bunch of weight in the front.
When you say point it, you're talking about your aim?
Yeah, it moved around a lot, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not used to the bow. I hadn't shot it hardly at all at first and struggled with it a lot, but eventually it got to where it pointed relatively well, and I thought it didn't have much for vibration. I've had people claim it does. I didn't really notice it very much. And that's what I shot my bear with. And like I said, my point of what I'm doing is I'm going to take one and go on each hunt with a different one.
Yeah.
So I'm done shooting that bow now. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it, but I am finished shooting it.
Yeah.
And it was satisfactory. Checked the box, did the job, killed my bear, and I'll grab something else and move on to that. And then I had the fan pick thing for PA, and because my bear hunt ended up going back, I didn't have very much time to spend with that bow. I intended on trying to shoot it every day for at least a week and a half before I went to that shoot. Slept on my shoulder really funny when I was bear hunting, and I got it pinched to where I couldn't hardly hold a bow up. It was very difficult. It was painful. It was uncomfortable. And ended up not getting the reps in with that bow before the shoot. By the third day of the shoot, I started to feel pretty good with it. Like it started slowing down its float. But yeah, the first 6-7 times with that, which I haven't shot a Hoyt in forever.
That's what I was really curious about with your experience with the Hoyt, because I like Hoyts. I've had a good experience with them.
Man, I really struggled to get that bow to point. And I still, even when I was done with the PA weekend and whatnot, which I'm going to hunt with that bow too. I'll take it on one of my hunts and film with it, and then be done with that bow. I got to the point where I could get it to point pretty good, but I couldn't get the group to tighten up just yet. So it needs some more work. And like I said, I ended up with 3 days with that bow before I went to PA. So I just didn't get the reps in it. But by like day 5 or 6, it really started to slow down its movement and shrink its movement. It started to point really good. And I liked the way the bow felt. It was kind of baffling to me because I'd never really dealt with that, to where it's just like it doesn't seem to group like it should, but it actually points well and feels good. And I don't think that's a reflection of the bow. I think that was I probably needed to start playing with different arrows.
I was going to say a different bullet maybe.
Yeah, I think it wants a different arrow, because it didn't seem to matter what I did. I couldn't get the group to shrink below a certain percentage of size. And even when before, when it was moving so much, I was like, well, it's just me moving, and I just got to deal with what my movement looks like right now, because I'm not physically in shape for the bow. And once it steadied down and started to move very little, and the group still looked the same, I was like, what is going on? It was weird. So, but once again, I didn't give that bow the time that it deserved. And I will spend some more time with that bow before I hunt with it and get it tightened up. And then I've got to have I've got a Darton that I'm playing with that I haven't hardly shot at all. But
are you doing the 33 or the 35?
33. I have a 33 put together.
Yeah.
And we're back.
So you're going with the 33?
Yeah. Well, when I speed tested them, which I don't even remember if I got that video out yet, if it's still in the hopper, but it was faster, like significantly faster. And
it shouldn't be that fast speed for how the draw cycle feels.
No, it shouldn't. That's the thing that really jumps out at the Darton over anything, is it's like it doesn't feel like it should be that fast. Normally, when I pull a bow back, I can roughly give you an idea of where it's going to rank.
Yep.
And that bow exceeded where it's going to rank, which is why I think there's something sneaky going on.
That's why I was wondering about that timing feature. If there's a little counterweight on the...
I'm telling you, I think the strands are light. So I am going to speed test that bow and then put new strings on it and speed test it again.
Yeah.
And see if it gets slower. If it does, they're doing something funky with the strings to get that speed. So, but yeah, that's probably the next one that I'll be working with. But I am currently working on a personal desire project that I'm putting together a Title 34 that I think I'm going to hunt with too. Because that bow just points like crazy, like that limb width does amazing stuff, and the bow is relatively light if you take the weight off of it.
Feels very good for you.
Yeah, it's totally huntable, and that's a dimension I really like, and I think it's going to point better than anything else that I use. So I want to give that bow a whirl. I'm trying to build that right now, and get that ready for Montana stack. That's what I'm going to shoot in Montana, I think.
Ooh.
But it's opposite side of this camera here. It's literally in the vise. I got strings on it. I got the rest on it, and I was working on it before we started this today. So, but I want to give that bow a real long look because I like it.
Yeah. Have you gotten to? I mean, I heard Bodie's glowing review of the AAE Prophecy.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to mess with it outside of?
I actually asked to have like a bunch of them brought in when I left, and when I came back, they were all gone.
Yeah.
They all sold online.
These bastards.
Yeah. So there's more coming. The thing I don't like about it is you must cock the launcher.
I like that.
I don't.
To me, that's the beauty of a cock up launcher style, because when you're hunting, bing, your arrow's up, life is good.
Yeah, but
contained.
almost every other one you don't have to do that. If you forget to do it, the rest still comes up.
Yeah, but
that's the concern.
To me, that's the beauty of hunting with it. It's like it's contained.
I don't think it's negative. I don't think it's horribly negative. I just wish it would pull itself up if you forgot.
Oh,
because
okay.
like, in all fairness, this is me dealing with customers. This is you having your personal experience.
Yeah.
The dude's going to forget to put it up.
Okay.
At times, and he's going to be pissed, and he's going to complain about it. So I wish it did that. But outside of that, I don't really see anything wrong with it. It seems like a very reliable unit. Like they've designed a relatively good product. Maybe a better mounting system to the bow, that kind of deal. They do have an interesting option with certain ones where you can kind of torque tune with it, and your mount stays on the bow, and you can keep popping it back or forward, so it should stay square and easily move it in and out. And allows you to remove the rest completely and put it right back on where it was, which is a cool little feature as well. I don't know how relevant that is. I know that I'm pretty sure Nick designed that rest, Nick Fisher, and he's really big into target. So features that you would want in a target rest.
He's a torque tune guy.
He's very much torque tune guy.
Yeah.
Shaft tuning, torque tuning fella. And that rest was kind of designed with that in mind, but it's still very hunter friendly.
Yeah.
So it's really a good combination of overall things. And I'll be honest, I haven't played with it a lot because a lot of the bows you'll set up, you can't use its features on it. And I mean that from a standpoint of like, let's say you got a Lift X33, the roller guard comes slamming down, you can't move the rest back.
Gotcha.
So you can't really torque tune with it. You got a Hoyt, you got that I-beam construction riser. You can't really move the rest forward or backward. It doesn't allow you to. So some of the benefit of what that's designed around, it doesn't really incorporate on several of the popular bows.
Yeah.
So there is that issue.
Well, I like the idea of hunting with a contained arrow. Yeah, and if it's less finicky than some of the other, they call those cable driven rests.
Limb driven or cable driven.
Yeah. Some of the other cables, because the other cable driven rests, they're super finicky as far as like your timing, right?
If the cord stretches at all, the rest stops falling.
Right.
But I think it has the same issue. I still think you have to have that set. However, I want to say the cord does go right through a set screw, so you could change it in 10 seconds.
Right.
There's nothing super complicated about that one. So like I said, I do think there's a lot of decent innovation in that product. Moving the left to right, coarse and fine is really easy. Like
Nice.
There's been some good thoughts into it.
Yeah.
So I was going to play with that on something, and actually I was going to throw one on this title, but went down and looked for it. We didn't have one. They're already gone.
I believe that.
And Nashville
You own a
wasn't.
Dagnab archery shop.
Yeah, Nashville wasn't carrying them,
And
so
you can't get one.
we'll both be carrying them and hopefully keeping them in stock. But the funny thing was, like 2 years ago when I first brought those in, didn't sell any of them. But I think they had price problems once again. The map thing, like they had a hard time enforcing their map, and so their prices were all over the board. So online, you wouldn't functionally be able to sell them very well, because if you can look at 17 different places and the price is cheaper, how the algorithms work for searching is that it looks for the lowest price, and that's going to promote the product to the top of the list. So if you're not doing that, you're never going to get seen.
Yeah. I would say another little trend that I've observed that I think is becoming increasingly more popular, and I think is a relatively good trend for the prepared hunter, is having two bows. I think I've seen a lot more guys that have like, maybe it's like a target bow and then a shorter bow, or just keeping their bow longer. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys bring their backup bow into the shop just to make sure like it's ready before season.
Yeah, I love the ability of having like a tree stand ground blind bow and then an open country bow, which you could use either for either, right? It's just this is a little more geared for this. That's a little more geared for that. Yeah. Makes it phenomenal backup bow.
Yeah, and if something goes down, it's a swap situation.
Yeah, just grab your other bow and go.
And you're ready to rip. Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's kind of a
beautiful opportunity and option. It's just, money.
Yeah, it is money. And I think like a bow that fits into that is like you could go with a used bow, or you could go with something like a Dart and Consequence. We have two friends down at the shop that both have Consequences as backup bows, and they're like, yeah, I like shooting this. What a fun bow. I think I'm actually going to hunt out of a tree stand with it, or whatever,
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be two complete flagships. It's just a cover your ass kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it's a wise decision.
It's kind of cool.
I rarely go with one.
Yeah.
I almost always take two. When you're flying, that gets hard.
Yeah.
Because the weights of everything start exceeding, and that's difficult. But if you're driving, I'd take two.
Yeah.
Just take an extra one if you have it. It's
a
no-brainer. And then you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of parts and pieces if something goes wrong that you got to fix the one bow you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're, middle of the year, we're kind of looking at maybe a couple 3D events and then off to hunting almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to do pronghorns?
Oh, yeah. I got to check the draws came out today, which archery is supposed to be guaranteed draw for Idaho. Yeah. But I put in for other states too, but I haven't drawn anything anywhere yet.
Yeah.
It's not. It's going to be a last minute Larry looking for a deal type of hunt thing for me for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
I have the ability to hunt in Idaho and Washington every year, which is beneficial and nice to where I guaranteed I'm going to have options. Right. They just might not be the greatest options.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, antelope will be first on the list, and we've already got our date set for our trip. And this is the first time we're going for literally a full week.
You should, yeah. I think just get.
Well, it's always been my cousin who probably never listens to this. Justice that is like, oh, I gotta get back to work. Oh, I can't do it. I'm like, dude, how many years we got left?
Yeah,
take a goddamn week off.
And if you got all year to plan for it,
Yeah, it's 5 days. It's 5 days plus the weekends.
It's not like you're calling them up tomorrow and be like, oh, dude, let's go on a trip. It's like you got all year to plan for it.
Well, and it's a whole day of travel each way, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like be down there for a week.
If you got 9 days, that's great, but it really turns into 7 immediately. Because you're driving down and driving back.
Well, and weather's pretty predictable that time of year. But what if you lose a couple of days to weather? Like, that's what the beauty of having the extra time is. Because if the extra time, if you all get animals, come back.
Yeah.
If you want, or don't. You know.
Yeah, I vote don't.
It's better. It's better to budget for more than less if you can.
I agree. And I'm. This is going to be an epic trip. I'm super excited about it. It's my favorite one every year just because it's with my boys and I'm not filming it.
Yeah.
It's like we might do a impromptu podcast from camp.
Yeah.
Maybe. But that's it. I'm not doing anything beyond that. And we'll probably all be moderately inebriated.
Yeah. That's cool.
Chilling at camp, with the campfire rolling.
Tales around the campfire, man.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good time, man. I love that one, and I do love hunting antelope. It's a ball.
Yeah, I fuzzed up.
I put in for every state that has antelope.
I fuzzed up. I didn't realize that I needed to also be a part of the draw.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No, I thought I had special privileges.
Oh my God, no. Everyone's it's.
I know.
Resident or non-resident, you have to draw it. Archery is pretty much guaranteed.
Because I was pretty much guaranteed going to do an antelope hunt, but I didn't do my due diligence on the information. So I think maybe I'll just do some kind of bear hunt, which is fine. I freaking love bears, high country bears. Yeah.
Bears a good time, man. Love bears.
Bears on berries.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't really done a ton of spot and stock for bear. It's something that I'd love to do because they can't see.
Yeah.
Like their vision sucks. So anytime you can hunt an animal that can't really see you very well, you can kind of get away with it.
They're very stockable. Spotted. Yeah. You get the wind right. They're very stockable.
It's supposed to be the same thing with like pigs and whatnot, like boars and javelinas. Like they can't see very well. So it's a good animal to stalk.
I don't know if I told you, but when I was stalking that bear like I tried to put my rangefinder up from 80 yards, and my hand was shaking so much I couldn't hit the bear consistently.
Yeah.
So I was filled up, man. I was adrenaline.
You mentioned that.
Yeah.
You're having a real hard time with the shaky. I'm like, woo, yeah, buddy, get it.
Yeah. So I was fired up. I think, I definitely got to scratch that itch and get in some spot and stock bear opportunity. And we're in a good spot to do it.
Well, there's a bunch of that opportunity in your home state there, buddy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what this year is going to develop into for me, is just a home state year.
Yeah, hot take. I don't know if I'm going to hunt Idaho for bear anymore. Yeah. Honestly. Well, when I start slotting out time and I'm willing to go places now where I wasn't before, it's not a premium option.
Yeah.
Like if you ran out of stuff to hunt and you had open time.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't think I would. I don't think I'm going to prioritize it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can be just one of those deals. You only got so many weeks to be different places. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah. I find the right situation or whatnot that isn't going to take a whole bunch of time, maybe. Because I can always just go down and buy a tag if it comes down to it.
Yeah, I'm mostly looking at this year like I want to get to know Idaho, intimately. Get to know the home state.
You're getting past second base with Idaho.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're rounding third.
Yeah, and I might do some kind of overarching story about just a full season in Idaho. And man, it would suck not to have a pronghorn on that. Golly.
Yeah, that's like a bonehead. Is there number one? I didn't know if I had to. If I had
you got to remind me of that. Yeah.
Well, God, I thought you knew that.
Yeah, I used to be more organized about stuff like that. I'm not now.
Sounds like you might need to use a service or something for that.
I need a friggin' service. I wish we had a friend or whatever, a service that did that.
One would think that's a possibility there, buddy.
Yeah. How was that gone for you, by the way?
Good, other than because they had to log into all my accounts and they contacted me on my Washington.
They tell them about the name.
It's Hunting Fools Tag Allocation Services. I'm letting someone else do all my stuff for me, which has been phenomenal. Other than this is my first year, and any states I'd already had accounts with, they were trying to log into my stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when they were trying to get a hold of me on my Washington stuff, I was traveling, and I wasn't able to get back to them with what my logins were. And by the time I got back to them, it was done. So I didn't get to put in for Washington special draws this year because they need your actual login accounts. If you don't have an account, they'll make you one. But if you have one, it won't let you make another one or won't let you access because you need to use your existing points.
Yeah.
So that was the only real snafu with it, and that was my fault. I hadn't given them that information.
Yeah.
So that was my snafu. But everything else has been flawless, other than I haven't drawn anything. Other than I'm sure I drew antelope. We got to log on, but they even make you sit through the portal time to check.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm not
crazy.
I'm not going to check till like next week and just verify that it went through right. But there's no reason that it shouldn't. I've put in for antelope every year. I think this will be my 4th year, and it's always worked right. So.
I wonder if there's such thing as an antelope return tag.
I don't think so.
I don't think there is either, or an antelope landowner tag.
I doubt it. I don't think they issue landowner tags for antelope.
God, you would think so. They would issue
because you have to draw.
Some of those farmers.
Because it's a draw.
But some of those farmers, antelopes are a problem,
Yeah, but it's a draw tag statewide. So if it was, it's not like an elk where there are a limited number of tags available, but it's still not a draw to get the tag.
Do you know part of your spread of tags that you're looking for? Did you put in for any of the Alaska, like mountain goat stuff or points or bear points?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to check.
There's a few spots where you need points to hunt bears, and I mean, obviously, mountain goats are, a unique opportunity. But I think there's a few spots where if you accrue a few points, like you have a real chance at being able to do that.
Cool.
I don't know if that's something you're interested in or not, but
I'm interested in all the hunting.
Yeah.
All the hunting that isn't ridiculously expensive.
Like Jessica Byers, our follower or gal.
Yeah.
She did a mountain goat hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a Montana knife person.
Yeah. Now
she used to work for Hunting Full back in the day.
But she drew a Alaska mountain goat tag. Like, she's not that old. I'm sure she didn't have that many points. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's doable.
It is doable, but it's a heck of an adventure if you go do it.
Yeah, pretty epic, I'd imagine.
You're talking about float planing and climbing mountains and
I probably need to work out.
Mountaineering. Not slipping off a rock, tumbling.
Yeah, not falling to your death. Yeah, I can imagine.
Those are good things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the pod.
It should be. I think we're golden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we appreciate you hanging out for another fireside pod. It's that special time of year where we could run back another poolside pod. I thought about that on my way in.
Hard pass.
But
that did not do well.
It didn't?
No, I didn't think it did.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was going to see what the audience wanted to see, because we got to go out of our way to make one.
Tim, nobody wants to see that.
I don't know. I can't remember.
You can run a poll. Nobody wants to see that.
We'll see. And anyway, leave us a review, share it with a friend, leave a like if you're watching on Facebook. That stuff really does help, and we appreciate it, and it helps us reach more, like-minded peers out there, more outdoors men and women, and we like that. So
awesome.
Yeah, signing out. Catch you guys back for the next one.
Thanks for listening.